Hello and welcome to another story. Today we are going to read Chicken Sunday by Patricia Polacco. Stuart and Winston were my neighbors. They were my brothers by Solomon ceremony we had performed in their backyard one summer. They weren't the same religion as I was. They were Baptists. Their grandma, Eula May Walker, was my grandma now. My babushka had died 2 summers before. Sometimes my mother would let me go to church on Sunday with them. How we loved to hear Miss Eula sing. She had the voice like slow thunder and sweet rain. We'd walk to church and back. She'd take my hand as we crossed Avenue. Even though we've been churching up like decent folk ought to, she'd say, I don't want you to step out in front of those two fast cars. You'd be as flat as a hen's tongue. She squeezed my hand. When we passed Mr. Klindinsky's hat shop, Miss Eula always stopped to look at the windows at the wonderful hats. Then she'd sigh and we walked on. We always called those Sunday chicken Sundays because Miss Eula almost always fried chicken for dinner. There'd be collard greens with bacon, a big pot of Hoppin' John's, corn on the cob, and fried spoon bread. On Sunday at the table we watched her paper fan flutter back and forth, pulling moist fried air along with it. She took a deep breath. Her skin glowed as she smiled. Then she told us something we already know. The Easter bonnet in Mr. Kondinsky's window is the most beautiful thing I ever did see, she said thoughtfully. The three of us exchanged look. We wanted to get her that hat more than anything in the world. Stuart reached into the hole of the trunk of our wish tree in the backyard. He pulled out a rusty Band-Aid tin. Three of us held our breath as we counted the money that we had been saving for weeks. If we're going to get that hat for Miss Eula in time for Easter, we're going to need a lot more money than this, I announced. Maybe we should ask Mr. Kandinsky if we could sweep at his shop or something to earn the rest of the money, Stuart said. I don't know, Winnie said fearfully. He's such a strange old man. He never smiles at anyone. He's always looks so mean. We all agreed it was worth a try anyway. The next day we took a shortcut down the alley in the back of the hat shop. Bigger boys were there. They were yelling. Eggs flew past us and pelted Mr. Kandinsky's back door. Just as the boys ran away, the door flew open. Mr. Kandinsky glared straight at us. You there, he yelled. Why do you kids do things like this? It wasn't us, Stuart tried to say, but Mr. Kandinsky wouldn't listen to us. All I want to do is live my life in peace. I'm calling your grandmother, he shouted as he wagged his finger in Stuart's face. Miss Eula was waiting in her living room for us. Miss Eula, we didn't throw those eggs, I sobbed. Some big boys did, Stuart sputtered. What were you doing at the back of the hat shop in the first place, she asked us. We knew that we couldn't tell her the truth, so we just stood there and cried. She looked at us for a while. Baby dears, I want to believe you. Heaven knows that I brought you children up to always tell the truth. If you say you didn't do it, then I believe you. It is too bad, though, she went to say. That poor man has suffered so much in his life. He deserves more than eggs thrown at him. You know, he thinks you threw those eggs. You'll have to show him that you're good people. You'll have to change his mind somehow. In my kitchen the next day, we thought and thought. How can we win him over when he thinks we threw those eggs? Stuart asked. He doesn't even like us, Winston chirped. Eggs, I said quietly. Eggs? Asked Stuart. Eggs, I screamed. I went to the kitchen drawer and took out a lump of beeswax, a candle, a small funnel with a wooden handle, and some packets of yellow, red, and black dye. My mom helped me show the boys how to decorate the eggs the way my bubby had taught us. The way they do it in the old country. We made designs on the eggshells with hot wax and dyed them and finally melted the wax patterns off. We put the eggs in a basket, and even though we were afraid, marched into Mr. Kondensky's shop and put them on the counter. He, he raised his eyebrows and glow, glowered at us. Then his eyes dropped to the basket. Sh- Spaski, Spaskiba, he said softly. That means thank you in Russian. Piansky eggs, he said as he looked closely. I haven't seen these since I left my homeland. We didn't throw those eggs at your door, Mr. Kondensky, we told him. He looked at us for a minute. Well, then, you have great courage to be here. Hutzpah! You have chutzpah! Then his eyes glistened and his mouth curled into a smile. Come have some tea with me. We spent the whole afternoon talking together, having poppy seed cake and strong tea. He told us about his life. We told him about ours. When we finally got the courage to ask about doing odd jobs for him to earn some extra money, he apologized and told us that there was no work. We didn't tell him that we wanted the money, what we wanted the money for. It didn't seem the right thing to do. Our hearts sank. I'll tell you this, he said thoughtfully. These eggs are beautiful as my hats. Stuart, Winnie, and I looked at each other. It's almost Easter, he went to say. I'm sure the people will love these eggs. Set up a table and sell them right here in my shop. For the next few days, we worked very hard. We made almost a dozen Piansky eggs. When people came in, they picked them up and said things like beautiful, splendid, intricate, glorious, and we sold them all in one single day. That afternoon, when all the eggs were gone, we counted our money. We had more than enough for the hat. Just as we were about to tell Mr. Kondensky that we wanted to buy the hat, he came out from the back holding a beautiful hat box, gift wrapped. Keep your money, children, he said softly. I have seen Miss Eula admire this. It is for her, isn't it? Tell her I know you are good children. Such good children. When Easter Sunday arrived, we thought our hearts would burst when we watched Miss Eula open the hat box. She held us close as big tears rolled down her cheeks. Our hearts sang along with the choir that Sunday. She looked so beautiful in that hat. When it was time for her solo, we knew she was singing just for us. Her voice was slow thunder and sweet rain. Later that day, Miss Eula sat at the head of the table. She said, Oh, baby dears, I can die happy now. And after I am dead on chicken Sundays, I want you to boil up some chicken bones and gravy and all pour it onto my grave. So late at night when I'm hungry, I can reach out and have some. Then she rolled her head back and laughed from a deep, holy place inside. Winston, Stuart, and I are grown up now. Our old neighborhood has changed some, yet it's still familiar too. The freeway rumbles over the spot where Mr. Kondensky's shop once stood. I think of him often in his glorious hats. We lost Miss Eula some time back, but every year we take some chicken soup up to Mountain View Cemetery and do just as she asked. Sometimes we are especially quiet inside. When we are especially quiet inside, we can hear singing, a voice that sounds like slow thunder and sweet rain. Thank you so much for listening to Chicken Sunday.